He was the best defensive player I've ever seen as a power forward.
He was a tough guy. If he played small people, he was physical with them. If he played big people, he was physical with them.
DeBusschere off the defensive board.
Defense is hard work. I mean, you have to really dig in and go for it.
And it's intercepted by Dave DeBusschere.
What you try to do is have fun doing it.
DeBusschere with a very strong game.
The other star forwards would come down, Elgin Baylor or Rick Berry, and they wouldn't play well. After usually killing us with 30 or 40 points, they'd have mediocre games, and you began to think, oh, that's why they're not playing well.
As a young athlete in Detroit, Dave DeBusschere was a sensation, starring in baseball and basketball. He would play both sports professionally, and by age 24, he had become the leader of his hometown Pistons, a pitcher for the Chicago White Sox, and an icon in the state of Michigan.
Dave DeBusschere was one of my childhood heroes. He was 24 years old and the player-coach for the Detroit Pistons, and he came to my house when I was a high school senior and recruited me for University of Detroit. I mean, it was a big day in my life. My mother said she wasn't going to wash her hand for a month.
Though Dave was a star player for the Pistons, his tenure as coach met with little success. The youngest coach in NBA history, he had a losing record during his 3 years at the helm.
Dave was like most other coaches. He prepared us, and as best he could, I think, in practice. But it's kind of difficult, I think, to separate your duties as a player and a coach, especially when you're that young.
In 1968, the rebuilding Pistons traded their hometown star to the Knicks, who viewed him as the final piece of their championship blueprint. And Dave was thrilled about his new beginning.
When I was traded to New York, I thought, oh my gosh, what a break. I mean, if I had a selected team to go to at that time, I think I would have picked New York #1. You always felt, God, they're just a player or two away from becoming really a dynamite team and somebody that's going to be the force in the league.
I thought the DeBusschere trade was one of the dumbest trades we ever made. DeBusschere was, for me, the greatest power forward that ever lived, but I didn't know that then.
I did have a sense that it was going to turn things around. I think that's one of the masterful trades in the history of the league.
Now the New York Knickerbockers at the forwards, number 22, Dave DeBusschere.
The trade paid instant dividends. With DeBusschere at forward, Willis Reed moved to his natural position of center, and the Knicks quickly began to gel.
There was a mesh of chemistry and appreciation that just flowed immediately, and I was very, very surprised that it happened as fast as it did.
And DeBusschere began exerting his leadership in many different ways.
He was one of the guys that would ask me to step down and have a beer with him after the game. More or less, it was probably about how I could help my game or how I could think in more mature games and ways about playing my game.
DeBusschere has a hot hand for New York, and he has made a big difference in the New York entry of the NBA.
We played a game in Philadelphia. Last second, I threw a bad pass. We lost by 1. I went back to the hotel room, and I was down. And he walked in a little bit later and said, "What's the matter with you?" I said, "Well, I threw the bad pass. We lost the game." And he said, "Wait a minute. We have a game tomorrow. So forget today and think about tomorrow."
In DeBusschere's first season in New York, the Knicks reached the Eastern Conference Finals, and though they would lose to Boston, they had clearly emerged as title contenders.
The ball game's all over. The Boston Celtics win it 106-105, and they defeat the Knickerbockers in 6 games, 4 games to 2.
After that game, we were in the locker room. It was all over. Season's over, and DeBusschere saying, "Hey, we're going to win it next year, guys."
We were emerging, and we knew at that time that we were as good as or better than anybody in the league. And we went to training camp the next year. There was a dedication, a purpose, and we felt we could win it.
From the start of the season, all the pieces fit perfectly for the Knicks, who posted the league's best record. They reached the NBA Finals against the Lakers, but in Game 5, New York suffered what appeared to be a devastating blow.
And Willis is hurt. Willis Reed will not see any more action tonight. Willis Reed is out.
I was thinking, well, there goes the championship. Willis was the backbone of the team, and without him, I didn't see any way that we could contain Chamberlain.
But the Knicks rallied together, taking turns defending Chamberlain. It was an especially tall order for the 6'6" DeBusschere, but for the sake of the team, he selflessly accepted the challenge.
when I can't see over a man's shoulder and I'm trying to guard him, it's quite an eerie feeling. All I tried to do was just stay between him and the basket and hope that, you know, we'd get help from somebody on the side or out front.
DeBusschere in the corner, one-hander over Wilt is good.
The Knicks staged a dramatic comeback and pulled off an inspirational victory in Game 5. And though Reed was still hobbled in Game 7, they defeated the Lakers to capture their first NBA championship.
The New York Knickerbockers have won the 1969-70 World Championship of Basketball. They are being mobbed as they head to the dressing room.
It's a long time coming. I feel very, very proud of being on this team. We just play a good team game, and I am very proud to be a part of it. And I think I'm just so happy really right now. I was speechless.
Those precious moments when you've won a championship, when you look at each other and with the gratification and deep feeling, it's just a wonderful, glorious moment.